Hey guys, RanterInShades here, exercising my first Remember Rights vlog style. Now this video was inspired by a few comments I've been receiving recently on a couple of my list videos. I'm aware some people are probably going to write this off as me being petty, but this kind of annoyed me a bit. I'll show you these comments in a moment, but there's a particular underlying theme in these comments that I want to make light of after talking about the obvious thing that they have in common. The first thing I want to talk about is the idea that all top 10 lists are biased. For the most part, that's true. Whenever I make a list video, I'm never trying to act like I'm being objective. That's what makes list videos so interesting. Of course, if you're looking at channels like Danger Dolan or All Time 10s that specialize in list videos, most of their lists are based off of statistics. Those can be pretty interesting too, but it's the subjectivity that makes a list stand out and makes it interesting. Very rarely have I ever seen someone make a top 10 list and act like it's based on fact. They usually know it isn't, and most people that watch those videos know that too, at least I hope they do. If they don't, then it sort of says to me that they don't really know how to read between the lines. But then there are these comments that I'm going to show you. They know that there's always some kind of bias in a list video, which there's nothing wrong with, and it's good that they realize that. But what's really hilarious is where they think the bias comes from. This first comment comes from my top 10 guilty pleasures in music video. Many of the songs you listed aren't guilty pleasures. They're considered modern classics. What is this? Only rock music can have classics? So this person thinks that the bias in the guilty pleasures video comes from me apparently only liking rock music. Number one, that's false. If you've actually seen my channel and watched my Music I Like video in particular, you'd see that there's a lot of variety. It's not just rock and metal. There's a good deal of hip-hop, jazz, and blues, and even some pop as well. Number two, how do you know that that's where the bias comes from? This is an example of a really bold claim to make, and what I'm about to say here is something that people really need to know when it comes to arguing and making a point. If you're going to make a claim like that, you need to provide evidence. If you can't back up your points, you're going to be seen as a liar, and that's exactly how this person made herself look. Let me put it to you like this. Say a person calls you racist. You or someone else knows you're not a racist, so you debate their claim by asking the person where they're getting this idea from. They need to provide some pretty serious, hardcore evidence if they really want to prove that you're a racist. And what I mean by that is saying more than, oh, you say the N-word a lot, and actually showing examples of you belittling and demeaning someone or a group of people because of their race or their skin color. Otherwise, no one's going to believe them and they'll have made themselves look like idiots. Claiming someone is biased and that their bias comes from a particular thing is another one of those big objective claims that require evidence. If you can't back up your statements, why bother making them? This is why people do their research before reaching their conclusions. It's what's known as the burden of proof. How do you expect people to take your side if you can't be as thorough as possible with your research and evidence? There's a reason Nate Talks to You put these two things in his rules for being a good ranter, and these things extend far beyond ranting. It can apply to writing an essay or a research paper, or really anything that involves stating an opinion and making a point. My friend Official GATG is someone who greatly excels at this. If you look at the description boxes in all of his videos, there are countless links being provided to back up his statements. This is how you know that someone is being thorough with their research, and that's what I try to do in my videos, is provide all the proof that I can, if I can. But in the case of list videos, like I said, they're subjective and based entirely on the person's opinion, and there's nothing wrong with that. Do you really think my Guilty Pleasures video was based off some statistics I found online? If it were, I would have linked it in the description. But it's not objective, and I'm not going to act like it is. Same with my year-end lists, and same with pretty much every list video I've ever made and will ever make on this channel. It would be egotistical as hell of me to act like they're completely factual. The same can actually apply to pretty much my entire video catalog. While a fair amount of my videos state opinions that are based on something factual, I'm not going to act like everything I say is 100% fact. That would be intellectually dishonest of me. The same applies to pretty much everyone on this site that makes videos stating opinions. Now let's look at the second comment I wanted to show you, which comes from my Worst Songs of 2015 video. This one's a bit more lighthearted, and I'm not going to spend too much time on it. It starts with the person saying, I feel like sometimes your opinions are biased because you pretty much only like rock music. Me knowing that's bullshit, like I talked about earlier in this video, I reply to him saying, do you have any evidence of this? Just to try to test him, you know? He says, no, it's just my speculation. Good job making yourself look like an idiot by admitting you don't have any evidence to back up your claim. Very logical of you. So just to rub it in his face, I then reply saying, so you don't have evidence to back your point up? What does he respond with? The only thing I can think of is your honorable mentions. Well, when I talked about pretty girls, how is that evidence of me only liking rock music? There is no evidence anywhere that shows I only like rock music. Although list videos may have some bias, and although mine are no exception to that, that's not where the bias comes from. And if you can't prove otherwise, then like I said, you'll be seen as a liar. Evidence is crucial and very important to making statements or arguing. Of course, there is also a thing called reasonable assumption, which is also not supposed to be factual, but the keyword is right there. Reasonable. That implies that there needs to be some evidence to support your assumption as well, but the burden of proof is still on you, and that's the thing to take away from this video. So I hope we all learned something from this video. Leave me your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you for watching this video, take care, and have a nice day. I'm Shades, and I'll see you next time.